Hey bestie, let's talk. So, have you ever noticed or wondered why it feels so much harder to make friends when you're actually working on yourself? Like, isn't self growth supposed to make your relationships better or easier? So, why does it sometimes feel like people literally pull away when you start owning your mistakes and being the most self aware, higher vibrational version of yourself? Okay. And if this has been on your minds, you're not alone. So many people go through this when they're like elevating or going through the dark night of the soul, spiritual awakening energy, okay? And today we're spilling the tea on how and why accountability, this beautiful, mature, glowing energy, can sometimes feel like such a double-edged sword when it comes to making friends, finding new connections, connecting to new people, okay, or even old people. But trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to see why it's actually for your highest timeline and your biggest superpower and how it'll align you to better people, okay? So let's start with the basics. What does it really mean to take full accountability, okay? Especially in friendships and relationships, maybe with yourself, okay? Taking accountability is literally more than just saying my bad or evaluating your life in some way, okay? It's when something goes wrong or when something doesn't align, you have the courage to reflect on your own actions, okay? Really taking accountability every day, every night, and looking at yourself so that you can actively become a higher version of yourself is what's going to level up your entire life, okay? And to really change the way that you want to achieve the blessings that you want, okay? But here's the thing. When you start taking this accountability, it's like your entire vibe is going to change. You start to glow up. You start showing up. You start feeling better about yourself. You start looking at your wounds and your inner beliefs. You're not just like flying by, coasting through life. No. You're being intentional. And this is why it makes you super magnetic, okay? Because people aren't used to that. And here's the catch. While you're over here trying to change, trying to glow up, becoming the highest version of yourself, stepping into higher timelines, this energy can make people around you feel so uncomfortable because they don't understand it. Why? Because accountability is literally a mirror. Okay, I had this happen to myself when I started really taking accountability and changing my life. When you hold yourself to this higher standard, it's subconsciously, people don't even realize it, challenges everybody around you to look at their own behavior, their own thoughts, their own patterns, their wounds, their beliefs. And let's be real, most people in today's world are not ready for that, okay? Not everyone is ready for that. Some are, okay? But for example, have you ever been in a situation where you apologized for something, you took accountability for something, or maybe you looked at your own life and you're like, I need to change something about this pattern. And instead of, for example, if you apologize, the other person saying, thank you, I appreciate that, things got like super weird. Things got super awkward. Maybe they went into victim mode. Maybe they just felt like self-righteous, okay? And it was like, maybe they couldn't even meet you at that level of honesty. Maybe they couldn't even look at themselves and how this fight came to happen or this disagreement. Or they couldn't even see how they contributed to this issue, throat chakra. But that's the accountability gap in action, okay? And it can be super awkward, but it's also a sign of your growth that these people are no longer aligning with you if they're not able to, actually be like, okay, this is why we keep having this conversation, this fight, or this keeps happening between us. And here's where it gets interesting, okay? Accountability doesn't just change how you see yourself. It changes how you see others, okay? And how others see you too. And let's be super honest. Not everyone is ready to sit down with themselves or even vibe with your new energy, especially if they have a lot of like demons or, they have a lot of lower vibrations within them. And when you start taking that accountability, when you start to change, when you start to evolve, it makes people feel exposed. This is what it means, like in the spiritual community, walking tower moment, okay? Think about it. If you're the person who owns up to your mistakes, you are actively working on yourself. You're actively working on your shadow. And this is going to highlight for other people what they don't work on within themselves, what they refuse to acknowledge, inner child wounds, unhealed parts of themselves. And that can be really scary for some people because they're absolutely not ready. okay? And that's not our responsibility. For example, maybe you've noticed a pattern where certain friends or family members love to play the victim. Love it, okay? Victim mode, misery loves company. And every time there's a conflict or an issue, it's never their fault. And they never apologize. When you're holding yourself accountable, that energy starts to really rub people the wrong way. It can feel super heavy. Okay? And when you call them out politely, lovingly, with grace, it can make things way worse instead of way better. Maybe you used to be a people pleaser. Maybe you shifted in some way. And people love to, use that aspect of you. But this isn't about being too much. It's about the fact that your growth isn't comfortable for other people, and it's not comfortable in general. People don't know how to grow. Your accountability is showing them a version of themselves that they are probably not ready to face yet. And honestly, that's perfectly okay. Growth isn't linear. Growth is a journey. And not everyone is on that same timeline. Not everyone is actually willing to change and evolve, okay? And let's go back. I remember a time when I apologized first in an argument. I actually used to do this quite often when I was trying to fix my relationship with my mother. And instead of it bringing us closer, she would be like, I told you, you were wrong. I'm finally glad you're seeing it my way, blah, blah, blah. She got super defensive and super victim mode, okay? And it's like apologizing sometimes gives people this false ego boost, this pompous behavior that they were never wrong, they can never be wrong, and now you're finally, especially if they have narcissistic tendencies, they can never be wrong, right? So let's talk about it, okay? So when you remove yourselves from these people, that's where the loneliness comes in. Because loneliness often comes with that level up because we're not putting up with that behavior anymore. Because if we're honest, there's a period where it feels like you're losing friends, you're losing family, your circle is actively getting smaller, and it's not because you're pushing people away. It's not your fault. It's because accountability. Either they leave your life or you feel like there's a gap. And this naturally creates boundaries. When you realize that we are not emotionally, intellectually, spiritually in alignment. And when you start taking accountability seriously, you realize you cannot ignore certain behaviors, certain red flags, okay? Like the person, friend, family member who never supports you, but wants you to be their cheerleader, or only cares about what they have to say, or they thrive on drama and gossip and negativity, and you just don't, some of y'all never even like to do that to begin with, but especially now, you're not about that. You're not about that, okay? Because gossip and all that, that's lower vibrational. That is not going to get you to your blessings, honey, okay? But here's where it stings. Letting go of old dynamics is absolutely lonely, okay? You start to question yourself. Am I asking for too much? Was I wrong to cut off certain narcissists? Was I wrong to make these decisions? Should I let these things slide? Should I, reconcile with these people? Was I too harsh on them? But bestie, no, you were never too much. Okay, these people's level of living was just not enough. You were never too much for them. You're asking for the kind of friendships, relationships, and connections that match your energy, and that's absolutely valid. That's okay. I like to think of this as the glow up purge. It's like cleansing out. I think we talked about this before, cleaning out your closet or cleaning out your messy car. At first, it feels hard to let go. Do I need this? Cleaning out your pantry, letting go of certain things. But once you do, you're making space for things in your life that actually fit, okay? And the same goes for friendships, relationships, and connections. If they don't fit in your life, you're just creating room for more. The universe loves a vacuum. Confirmation hiccup. So, now, let's flip the narrative, because this is where it's going to get really good, besties, okay? Yes. Absolutely, accountability feels isolating. But as always, it's a filter. And when you allow this filter to work, it clears out the noise and the negativity that helps you evolve and glow up even more. But it also creates rooms for friends that you deserve, or aligned soul family that you actually deserve, okay? Some of y'all, the reason why this hasn't come in yet, if you've been lonely for a while, is because there's an inner child wound that doesn't allow you to accept certain friends or people in your life. If you need help with that, please check out my Shamanic healings. I will be raising prices at the end of this week, okay? When you're someone who takes accountability. You naturally attract people who value growth and honesty. And these are the friends who won't just hype you up, but will also hold you accountable in the best way. They're not going to lie to you. They're going to be like, yes, you're amazing, but however, I think you need to work on this, okay? It's like truth, honesty. We want that. They'll tell you when you're wrong. They'll celebrate your wins. They'll stick by you through the messy middle, and they'll help you in the messy middle. They're not just going to be like, yeah. No. These are people who get it, who want to give you advice, who want to see things from the higher perspective. Think about it. Would you rather have 10 surface level friendships or like a few really deep, meaningful ones where you feel fully connected, fully seen, fully supported? It's always been quality over quantity. And if you don't have that right now, that means the universe will provide it when you are ready for it, when you clear out those wounds. And accountability is what brings those real ride or die connections into your life. So, how do you navigate this? Okay, how do you navigate this season of growth? How do you release like the feeling of being drained? How do you know when to cut someone off? How do you know all these things? Okay, so here's what works for me. Number one is absolutely setting boundaries. Boundaries are the most important thing that you can do. They are your absolute best friends. If someone's energy feels off or doesn't resonate with you, or they're not supportive, they're not loving, they're not understanding, it's okay to take a step back, evaluate, protect your peace is not selfish, okay? And if you feel like this ain't it, then it's time to let go. Find your people, seek out communities, okay, or spaces, and maybe that's not in real life yet. Maybe it's like, like online or on groups, or maybe even like going to classes or something. Where other people are willing to take growth and accountability and are celebrating. And this could be through hobbies, events, okay? Getting out there and also celebrating yourself. Remind yourself daily that taking accountability is a superpower. You're not just improving yourself. You're literally setting the tone for the kind of people, the kind of relationships, the kind of energy you want in your life, okay? And absolutely be patient. Friendships take time, okay? Especially like the deep, meaningful ones, the ones that are going to change your whole life. Trust that as you stay true to yourself, the right people will come in. And sometimes the universe keeps testing you with the wrong people until you're ready to be aligned with the right people. Okay? All right, besties. So accountability. This absolutely makes friendships harder. However, it is also worth it in the end because it makes them better. It makes them deeper. It's not just like noise. It's not just something to, make you fill your ego. It makes space for connections that truly matter. So keep growing, keep glowing, and don't settle for anything less than you deserve, okay? Less than the energy that you want in your own life. I love you. Just keep shining. You've got this, baby.